Hey.
Really?
What? It's my body.
No, it's mine.
Conjugal violence usually starts with psychological abuse, such as intimidation, verbal abuse, fear, or threats of violence. It can also manifest itself with the partner putting down the other person and attacking their self-esteem. Once the victim is stuck in the webs of psychological abuse, it's very hard for them to get out, and that's when the physical abuse usually starts. And by then the person is too vulnerable and they're very easy to manipulate, and they start justifying their partner's action. They start saying it's nothing, that they understand them, that everything is gonna be fine, and it just happened once, but it keeps going and they're already stuck in the cycle. Conjugal violence has many effects on the victims, and some of the effects physically could be bruises, red marks, purple marks on the neck, broken wrists, shortness of breath, muscle tension, involuntary shaking, changes in eating and sleeping patterns, or menstrual cycle or fertility issues for women. So common mental effects of conjugal abuse include PTSD, meaning flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, and uncontrollable thoughts. It could also be depression or prolonged sadness, and it also is low self-esteem and questioning one's sense of self. It also translates in suicidal thoughts or attempts, and also alcohol or drug abuse. For emotional effects, the victim may feel hopelessness, they may feel unworthy, they could also feel apprehensive or discouraged about the future, feeling like they have no hope, nowhere to go. They often lose their ability to trust, so they're unable to trust, they're often unmotivated, and they can even question or doubt their spiritual faith.
Abuse can be very insidious and make you feel like you're going crazy. It's not easy to spot the early signs of abuse because the abuser will usually act incredibly normal and loving before starting to abuse you. Usually, it will start at a big life change, like moving in with your partner, a marriage, having kids, because then you'll be more vulnerable, therefore it'll be more easy to prey on you. It'll start really normally, like, a small mean comment, a little put down here and there, a sarcastic insult. You might feel like this is normal, or maybe you're just being really paranoid. Some people might also tell you this is normal in a relationship, but it's not. Always trust your gut with abuse, because it might save your life. Sometimes it's going to escalate, as in the abuser will not like your friends or family. They'll hate them, they'll tell you they don't want to hang out with them and therefore you shouldn't hang out with them either. Sometimes they'll make you spend less money on yourself. They'll tell you to dress how they want you to dress. This is not normal. It's one of the prime signs of abuse, because your partner will try to control you. Oftentimes, the abuser will escalate by, during a fight, breaking, screaming, shouting, slamming doors in your face. But most of the time, all the damage to your property will be done only to you, not to their stuff. After the fight, they will act really sweet, but always try to put the blame on you. This is called projection. They'll tell you that you're maybe the abusive one, you're the unreasonable one. They'll try to gaslight you into thinking you're crazy. When your self-esteem is low and the blame is on you and the abuse is rationalized, this is when they escalate to full physical or sexual or psychological abuse. The hitting, the raping, maybe the mean insults, going full extreme, all of this is the end game of the abuser. This is why it's important to spot the signs early and never ever justify the abuse.
Some people say that men are as likely victims of conjugal violence as women are. That's not entirely true. A big difference between violence by men and violence by women is that women are smaller in stature. They cannot fight the men the way they can hurt them. That's why they are twice as likely to get hurt. Studies have also found that 57% of female domestic violence survivors are scared for their safety, while only 17% of men are scared for theirs. Similar statistics say that 52% of women who suffered from conjugal violence also suffer from PTSD, while only 17% of men suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. 1 in 4 women will be affected by violence by their intimate partner, while only 1 in 7 men will be affected. Therefore, we can say this issue concerns more women than men. Statistics also say that every 6 days in Canada, a woman dies due to conjugal violence. Another statistic says that by the age of 16, about half of the women in Canada will have suffered either sexual violence or physical violence. Most women who are affected by conjugal violence are between the ages of 15 and 24 years old. In conclusion, the issue of spousal violence affects more women than men. It is also said in Canada that this type of violence is the more common type of violence against women.
The topic of domestic violence goes hand in hand with the topic of rape culture. Some examples of rape culture would be victim blaming, catcalling, the systemic objectification of women's bodies, and so on. And it's so deeply ingrained in our society that you might not even realize you're part of the problem. So some things to understand would be the concept of consent. We've heard it so many times these days, but it's so important and it matters because it's still not respected and some people's boundaries are constantly pushed. So please respect others. It's never the victim's fault for their abuse. Regarding women's clothing when they were assaulted, some people say they were asking for it if they were wearing a short dress or a short skirt. So please educate yourself on the subject, and if you need help, go get it.
In this section of the video, I will talk about what people can do if they notice conjugal violence or even if they have any doubts about something happening. First of all, calling the police is in fact a good idea because it will procure a fast assistance to the victims and they will be able to arrest the violent person and also refer the victims to the right resources. It is also possible for the victims to call SOS Conjugal Violence, which is a service available 24/7 every day of the year. The number should be appearing right now on the screen. Another service is the Crime Victims Assistance Center, which procure post-traumatic help and also information on rights and legal resources. Finally, you can also help by encouraging the victim to create a safety plan. There is a good website created by the Government of Canada that you can show to the victim to help her in the process. This website also shows you how to recognize the signs that a victim of domestic abuse will show and what you can do to help her.